Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. I am here with the Made in America, Los Angeles. I am on my second account, and I am on the last 20 races to win the prize car, Ringbrothers Camaro Uncle Sam. So far, everything has been smooth sailing, partly because my cars are pretty well set up, even on my second account. These are not new cars, and I've had lots of time to build them in the past. This account, although it's quote my second account and relatively new, it's at least 4-year plus old. So naturally, even though I played it completely free, it does have a lot of resources available to it, even if you cannot compare it to my main account, which obviously is a lot better. But I am not having much of an issue, at least with this portion of the event, simply because I have the cards, I have the parts, and these cards, at least the middle two lock-ins, are very well upgraded. And even the Mistress, I think it's only missing maybe 1 or 2 stage 6 from Maxed. So if your cars are not as upgraded, you're going to want to try to leverage whatever you have in these middle two lock-ins to get the most out of it. I'm sure some of you might be stuck at the moment, but the good news is if you build enough with the TRX, you have 2 decent cars in the middle, you don't really need stage 6s for the Mistress to get this done. The Mistress only has to be stage 5, and in fact can even be missing some epic fusions based on what my crewmates' feedback is. I was told that you can be missing up to 10 or 11 epics. I'm not sure which ones exactly, but you could be missing quite a few fusions, stage 5 only, so long as your other cars are not completely S5 and unbuilt. You should be good to go. If you have at least one car maxed, a few decent fusions in the TRX, and maybe 2-3 stage 6s, you should be able to get through. Mind you, it'll be a little tougher near the end, but it's not impossible. So I'm here with the last 20 races simply because if you haven't made it this far, then you're probably not going to make it. Really, your cars are just not upgraded enough. But if you're pretty much getting through to this part without too much of an issue, then you're pretty much good to go. And at the very end, it's just a matter of maybe getting a few more parts to push this through. So the beauty of the Mistress is that it is very quick. Whoops. I should have hit nitrous in first. I should have. Anyway, it is very quick, and if you drive it properly, it takes very little effort for it to do well against the opponents, which are running like 13th at the moment. Where the additional performance really comes into play isn't until you get into the final relays. The speed traps, from what I've seen so far in the challenges, are all relatively easy. But of course, if this car is not upgraded enough, you may have some issues. In my case, I am trapping at over 300, so this car isn't having any issues getting through. I mean, trapping over 300s in the quarter mile. Obviously, I'm trapping almost 430 something, I think I saw in the half mile here. Yeah, 436. So this car traps really high. We're talking 436 miles per hour, or 438 actually miles per hour in the half mile. That's crazy. You know, it's not realistic, but who cares? It's a game. Okay. Some of you might also be asking, hey, you know, let's assume I got these guys. Are they really good cars? Or am I going to be able to do much with these outside? Well, you know, the Super Snake gets used in Showdown a lot, so there's that. But the rest of these cars, personally, I feel outside of this event, and mind you, the Twisted Mistress has been used more than once in events, and the Plymouth has been like 2 events that I can recall off the top of my head, if not more. So these American, quote, American cars, if they keep doing these American road trip events, let's say next year and the year after, so on and so forth, you're going to want to keep them. So for live racing, unfortunately, no, none of these cars are going to be super good. Sure, the Uncle Sam can be used, I've used it in live with some success, but under the current matchmaking process and how it works, you're not likely to have very, very good long-term success with it. In the short term, though, yeah, it can probably help you win some money and perhaps do some decent wins. But in the long term, the Uncle Sam's either going to get bumped depending on how you run it, or other cars with lobby advantage is going to end up beating you more and more often as your car sits into a particular lobby. So it's unfortunately not a prize car that's going to make or break your CSR2 career, so to speak. But for newer players, it is a decent car to get if you can acquire it. Again, it's all resource dependent. If you're a paying player, it probably is still not going to be worth it. If you're a free-to-play player and getting it, it's just another car in the garage, and that's always nice. If anything, the recent milestone cars have done better for me overall than any of these prize cars I've been getting. The recent milestones, starting with the SF90 Spider, going to the Z06, and all the others, they've all been pretty decent cars compared to some of these prize cars we've been seeing from events. So you should definitely keep going with the milestone more than focusing on trying to get every prize card that comes up on these events. A lot of hit home by accident. A lot of complaints on Facebook generally that these events are paid events. Sure, in some sense, these events are designed for Natural Motion to make money, because if they don't make money, we wouldn't have a game. Whether it's fair for them to make that much money, that's a whole separate discussion. We won't get into it, but understand that since they're giving you milestone cars, which are free, since they're giving you Prestige Cup cars, which are free, and you can acquire more cars randomly or through gold keys you save up through the milestone process for cars which are free. There's enough free stuff in the game that these events, when they put some hurdles in or they tempt you to buy something, I don't consider it completely out of line. Nobody said this game was going to be completely free. There are no charities making games like this. So we have to understand that if paid players don't pay, free players have no game to play. So you kind of have to balance the two. It's your choice to play free or not to play free. That's up to you. I sometimes donate some money to them, sometimes I don't. It really depends on my mood and also my bank account situation. But if the car's really good and it costs $20, sure, I may just go ahead and buy it, spend a few more bucks, get it built, and go from there. But it is potentially a big money pit if you get too hooked into it and you start buying every car under the sun. This can get very, very expensive. I can tell you, buying the premium version of some console and computer games may run you $100, $200, but $100 and $200 may only get you one car and not even fully maxed in this game. So there's a relative difference in the amount you spend and what you get, but again, that's up to you to control. So back to this part of the event. I don't feel this part of the event is meant to be difficult. This is only the beginning of the American road trip. So the hurdles are not here yet. But if you want to get that final prize car, much like the Indy car back in the day, you do have to make it through each leg of these and make sure that you have the prize car, because I can guarantee you that by the very end, each of these prize cars from each of these legs of the event will be part of the final leg of the event, much like Fast and Furious and much like past American road trip events. So, event, right? This is only number 2. So the last one, you got the Indy car. I think that's the final prize. And I thought the NASCAR was American something or another too. But anyway, there were past prize cars, and again, you need all the other prize cars to kind of lock in for it. If you look at the pattern of events, Supercar Science is like that, Fast and Furious is like that. No reason this won't be like that. So, knowing what you're stepping into, you have to figure out up front how far you can get and how far you want to get. I mean, the problem here is that you could start off playing free and getting somewhere. But then at some point, as the event gets more quickly rolled out, leg after leg, you may find that you get stuck and you just can't get to the end without spending. That's kind of how things work, right? It's a carrot on a stick concept. We lead you on and on and on into the event. You're so invested at that point in the event, even though you haven't paid anything, the prize is dangling out there right in front of your face. And at that point, you might be tempted to just say, look, screw it. What's $6,000? I'll just spend it, right? I mean, that's an extreme kind of comment, but you understand where I'm coming from. The joke, of course, ultimately is, how much do you want to spend? Well, if we really think about it, you could probably spend more in a night at a casino, but in this case, again, self-control, right? If you want the prize car, either you have to have played long enough, planned hard enough, and lucky enough to have things already in place, or you're just going to have to spend some money. So balance all those needs and wants, and remember, a lot of times, and this is true of every event so far, that final prize car, as good as it may be, as good as it sounds like it is, becomes relatively useless long term, because the newest and greatest is just around the corner. There are going to be other cars released. There are always going to be new flash cars, always going to be new milestones, always going to be new events, and always going to be new, bigger and badder prize cars. So if you miss this one, again, it won't make or break your career in CSR2. I call it a career because that's what it feels like. When you play this long enough, you're like working on this thing every day. It's like a job, which goes back to the whole grindy nature of these type of games. But hey, that's what games are for. They're there to burn your time. As long as you're having fun, burning the amount of time that you're able to and willing to and enjoy burning, I don't call that a grind. I call that having fun. But a grind to me is when you're burning time that you really shouldn't be burning for the purpose of doing something that shouldn't have to be that difficult. When it becomes a grind for someone, that's relative. Usually grinds are okay if the rewards at the end makes you feel like you accomplished something. Some people like grinds. I mean, most video games have grinds. So as an RPG player, I am completely, used to and understand the concept of the grind, leveling, building resources. Nothing of that nature is new to me, and I kind of enjoy doing it. That's why I don't complain as much as some. Instant gratification just doesn't happen unless, of course, in this game, of course, it can if you are super rich or you have connections, as I call them. Okay, so unless you have those things, but instant gratification has its negatives because most people who get them burn out on the game very quick. Because what fun is a game when there's no challenge, right? The idea is to balance the challenge to enjoyment. It should be an enjoyable challenge, not one that makes you want to put your head through the monitor or your phone. As long as it's an enjoyable challenge, it can still be fun. And I think I have found my point where I can balance the two for me, which is why I'm still here playing this game, making videos, and just messing around after all this time. And this is the longest game, the game I have played the longest of any games ever, period. So it does have that hold on me, and I'm still here. Sure, I've taken a few breaks. I've talked about quitting and all that stuff. We all go through it. But in the end, 6 years is a long time to play any game almost on a daily basis. And I'm still here, and I'm still playing this American Road Trip 2, and I'm, getting through it, and I'm still enjoying it because, again, the goal is to get something. I know how to tune the car. I know how to set it up. I do need some more cash on this account, but, I still have goals I can enjoy accomplishing, and that's really what this game is all about. The goal is always to collect more cars, tune them, have fun in live, have fun in other challenges like this, and basically look forward to the next thing that comes. Sure, it's very repetitive, but sometimes repetition stuff like this is easier, because I play other games where it's not repetitive and it requires a lot of brain power to process the game and get somewhere. I can tell you, as I play games more and as I get older, I have to be honest. I almost want to go back to these hit one button and just be done type games, simply because it's less taxing on my brain, which is probably heading towards Alzheimer's very quickly. But anyway, back to the event, right? That's a completely off topic discussion there for no other reason than I had to have something to fill the space. Otherwise, I could play music for you guys, but usually you complain about my taste in music, so that can't win either. So we're back to playing the game and talking about the game. Okay, now, starting to race 54 to 60. This is usually when things start to escalate a little bit. As you can see, it is now a challenging race. Challenging just means it's slightly harder than totally easy. Okay, challenging is never challenging. I think it's only extreme that is what I would consider challenging. But what happens with extreme is it tend to jump from challenging to impossible within, like, you know, a little click of time. So either your car is fast enough to make extreme still possible, or it's just too slow and it's just too extreme for you to do, which means upgrades. But starting from this point, 54 to 60, is where I expect people to have to really feel the challenge, so to speak. Now, you saw that was a 12.8 versus a 12.6 run. That means my truck now at this stage 6 race may not make it. Okay, if that car runs a 12.4 next, which is probably a possible jump, or a 12.6 even, which is extreme and being very close, I may have to upgrade my truck to make it. Let's see where we are. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm going to try to drive it as well as I can, because that's all I can do. And no, it's not going to cut it. All right, so I did better. I did like 12.6, I think. But the jump there was from 12.8 to 12.2. Woohoo! Boy, it jumped like 6/10 in one shot. So back to the garage. Let's go ahead and get a part in. I did pull but I did win a tire stage 6 earlier and some fusions. So I'm sure it's possible to get something out of this. Hold on. Before we... let's see if we can get this car down to a 12.2 or better. Okay, so, here we go. Fit the part. I have 2 of these. Let's put them in. Oh, I got one of those too. Woohoo! All right. Looking good, looking good. Okay, okay. Just put them where you can fill them, usually. Because nothing says I have to put it in a particular spot. Oh, this is one of the things I tend to mention in events, is you put the fusions where you can put more fusions first. This way you can get those blue and red ones in. Otherwise, if you fill this one with that one green, you'd be stuck with the other 2 not being able to be used. This is different than building a car for live, where you would only put the fusions from the lowest upgrade up. But something like this, I would jump ahead just so I can get other fusions in. The downside to doing it this way, of course, is if you ultimately want to use the car in live, it wouldn't be optimized for that purpose, but it doesn't really matter. The goal right now is to make sure I get through the event, not worry about live racing. Plus, as I mentioned right in the beginning, none of these cars are going to be super good for live racing anyway. Okay, let's mess around with the tune a little bit. Can I get more out of this car? Alright. Let's see. This one doesn't really like to get off of this part of the transmission. So I'm pretty much stuck. Oh, but I jumped to 11.9 with that stage 6 and some fusions. Yes. Okay. I did pull some crates for this, by the way. Now, a teammate of mine in the crew got through without pulling any crates. He just used the stuff he won from the event and the free crates and was able to still get through. So he must have gotten the right parts, because I pulled probably a full set of crates or 2, and my car is still struggling at this race. But anyway, I got a different opponent. I hope he's not faster. That would suck. Or hopefully he's even slower. That's another thing that you do have to keep in mind. If there are multiple opponents given for a particular challenge, there is a chance that by switching in and out a few times, you could find a slower guy. But in this case, no. The 12.2 guy is the 12.2 guy. So 11.9, and I got another stage 6. I'm not sure if I could use it or not. Well, we'll see when we go to a relay if that's a usable one. It looks like I'm going to have to add gas again soon too, but we're almost there. This is going to be a breeze. This car is ridiculously quick. Goodbye. Okay, look at that. Woohoo! Half track ahead. Anyway, okay. Calm down. You haven't won the event yet. Okay. All right. Race 57. We're right there. 58, 59, 60. 3 more races after this one. And they're all relays, if I recall correctly. Okay, so again, Mistress. But I can tell you, the Mistress runs 8 point something. I forgot what it is. I think it's like 8.7 at stage 5 only, fully fusioned. And missing a bunch of fusion, it'll still run under 9s. So your opponent is running 9.8. 9.8 doesn't even require full stage 5 on this car. It's that fast. So that's a good thing that this turned out to be the lock-in for this part, because otherwise you wouldn't have enough performance. For example, one thing I hate is when they force you to use a lock-in car that just really stinks. Then the car has to be almost fully maxed to make any challenges because it sucks at them. This is the reverse. This car demolishes challenges like this. It's a great map car. It's just not as good in live. But on map races like this, whew, it'll just go right onto it. In fact, I use this car quite a lot for anything Ford related, Prestige Cup or other stuff where it says you could use any Ford. Guess what? Twisted Mistress gets pulled out because it's good for that. Another great Ford, obviously, is the Tier 4 Ford GT. That's an awesome car. And outside of that, that came another Ford. It was the GT3 cars that they started putting out. The Ford GT3, Ford GT. I forgot what exactly the whole name of it is. That one's pretty good too. That's a Tier 5 car. But it's not as good as some of the other GT3 cars like the Bentley. The Bentley GT3 is just a monster. Okay. All right. This Plymouth, again, in one of my older videos, unfortunately, there are not many good Plymouth out there, and this is probably the best. Now, you can say the Plymouth GTX is better in some sense because of its massive dyno beating, but I don't know. In the end, unfortunately, Plymouth, we don't have a lot of great options. The Legend one, I know it beats dyno and all that, but it's also not the best. So, yeah, it's kind of a tough pick out of Plymouth. Personally, I like the way that Plymouth looks, so I kind of like that one out of all the ones in the game. Hopefully, they'll put one in the future that's very good, but as of now, there isn't. Okay, I don't know if you've been noticing, but this is a glitch. Every single relay shows up as super extreme. I think that's just something they did on the programming, because when you get into the actual race, it says easy. So how did I go from super extreme to easy? I don't know. What I'll tell you is after this first race, it's going to shoot back up to extreme because that car's going to destroy me. But then my next 3 cars are all Tier 5, and they're all fast. So should be okay. All right, let's go ahead and get destroyed. We're going to get destroyed. In real life, this TRX is stupid fast. You know, when you have the kind of horsepower, even though the thing probably weighs like 6,000 or something pounds, it doesn't matter when you have enough horsepower to drag all that weight through. Oh, and I beat the Tier 5 because they made it slow. Okay, well then, here we go. It goes, whoa, it's still extreme, man. Even though you did well there, this is all still extreme. But think about it. These 3 Tier 5s would have to run some pretty impressive times to beat my 3 Tier 5s. So that extreme is really, that's just them trying to make it sound like it's a difficult end to the event here for me, but it's not. I won't have a problem beating this. And I will be beating it by quite a lot. In fact, I'm going to venture to say that by the time we get to the last guy, he'll just be moving to about here when I cross the line. Because each time you're giving them more delay for their start, that gives your car more time to go down the track a bit, and each of my cars is ultimately quicker than the last when it comes to getting down the quarter mile. Which is what this is, quarter mile. Look at that. So he's barely moving, and I'm already done. And the Mistress is going to be the quickest out of these. So the Mistress may very well, mumbly today, may very well be done before the guy even gets started, whoever he is. Who am I racing? I don't even look at the names because I really don't care. But okay, let's go. Here we go. Nitrous. Boom, boom, boom. Watch. Probably just get rolling right about now. Ah! Okay, so very, very easy because, again, my cars are very upgraded for the purpose of this event. Okay, so 35-second total against 43. So I had a margin of about 8 seconds. That's a lot. Okay, in a quarter mile setting, that is huge. And that's exactly why at the end my car was crossed the line before the last guy even really got started. All right. Game over, bro. Give me my car. Okay, Uncle Sam. Okay, so let me have my Uncle Sam. Because I'm pretty sure I'd never spent the 6,000 gold on this account to get it, because I didn't have 6,000 gold to spend. Okay, and you won. See, this is not one of those that says, oh, you already have it, strip it. No. We're keeping this one. So I got the Uncle Sam. Nice little addition to the garage. And probably put me a step closer to potentially getting the end prize car in this American series. Although I'm not really holding my breath, because as a free-to-play account here, I just don't have as much cars and resources and fusions and everything as my main. And some of these steps in the American trip may end up being too big a hurdle for me to cross, and therefore I would not be able to get the car. So anyway, that was the final 20 races of the American Road Trip 2 Los Angeles. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you didn't mind my rambling. Feel free to comment, and if you like the Uncle Sam, feel free to chime in how you like to use it. Personally, I will set up a video in the future, probably with some my own tunes that I use for this. If you like the video, leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell if you like the channel and you want to get notifications when I put up new videos. As always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.